What's happening, guys? I'm breaking down the charismatic archetype in Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there, guys. How's it going? My name is Suman Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today, we're talking about the Art of Seduction book, and the archetype I'm breaking down is the charismatic. Okay, charisma, whatever way you want to say it. Basically, it's the masculine quality of allure. Okay, allure would be the feminine version of charisma. So really start to understand first and foremost that charisma is a presence that excites us. This is from Robert Greene. Okay, the interesting thing about charisma is what most people lack, and that they want that quality, and so that's why, first of all, it's very seductive. The important thing to understand about the charismatic is they have this very mysterious veil, and they can seduce on a grand scale, on a mass scale. So this is kind of like a cult leader seduction, right, in a sense. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's what it is. I mean, usually cults have a very charismatic leader, right? And the reason that they're so seductive and get people to join the cult in the first place is because of their charisma. They have a piercing gaze in their eyes. They have a fiery speech and an air of mystery about them. They radiate their intensity, while at the same time they remain detached. They're unattached to the outcome, okay? But they're still very, very passionate, okay? They're a star. They have a godlike or a saintly quality to them. Their self-belief, their boldness, their serenity, their tranquil quality, all of these play into the archetype. We as people, we don't like boundaries. We want to go out of body, right? We want to be led. And so charismatics are natural born leaders. And they have this ability to lead people to their cause. This kind of devotion is very seductive, right? People fall in love with the charismatic because they become emotionally attached to them. Their cause is very powerful. It's interesting how they say that religion is embedded in modern charisma. I think that's an interesting dynamic that Robert Greene pointed out. This kind of energy is what priests and prophets hold because they seem to be tapped into the source energy in some way, right? They start speaking in tongues, they have intense visions, ecstatic raptures. It almost seems like, hey, God or gods have singled this one person out, okay? Because they have this kind of a lucky charm quality to them. The charismatic speaks in vague terms. They're always mysterious. They've almost got to appear mystical in some sense. You've got to have a cause that gives you confidence, right? People will sense that confidence is real, and it's unusual, but it's actually from the power of that vision and from that cause. So really start to understand ways that you can amplify that cause through your delivery, through your speech. If you're really trying to embody this archetype, you want to fall in love with mystery and the unknown, okay? Like, take, for example, Sigmund Freud, right? He was intimate and distant at the same time. He got very close to people's issues and problems, but at the same time, he remained distant. That's a great example of a charismatic, because there is this quality of that detachment with the closeness, right? The closeness, the quality of that closeness. So contradictions are incredibly charismatic, actually. And you start to understand that charisma is also related to sexual energy. So there might be a hint of sexuality in their speech, but it's very, very subtle, right? It's like right underneath the surface of what they're saying. It's not necessarily like the main purpose, but you could sense that this person has a lot of sexual energy that they're exuding as they're speaking. I think the most important thing that Robert Greene said is you got to live what you believe. That part can't be faked. You've got to have deeply held values that you demonstrate out into the world, right? Most of us human beings, we need to compromise and be flexible to survive. But for a charismatic, they're just very held on to their principles, and you can't really fake your principles, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get pointed out as a charlatan or something later on in the game of the charismatic if you don't watch out for that, because You really have to have a cause that you truly believe in, and that's, I think, one of the most important things for a charismatic. The charismatic has a kind of larger than life personality, and in general, you'll notice their speech is very hypnotic. Okay, they'll just have a voice that's just nice to listen to in general. It's kind of spellbinding in a sense. There might be imagery, alliteration that they're using, biblical analogies, right? Different metaphors that they've learned, different things that they've seen on TV that they're incorporating in their speech. It's like actors have studied like this presence that's just like this deep presence that never moves. It's an immovable presence quality, and that's why it's so linked to the flow state as well, because if you're in the flow state, you're tapped into charisma, baby. You already know. They have a calm sense of assuredness. They have a sense of adventure about them. No fear of death, delightfully spontaneous vibe. And honestly, what are you demonstrating by that, right? What are you demonstrating by showing you're charismatic? That you have more power than other people, right? You think of like Lenin and George Washington and these political powers, right? They had charisma, right? That was the only reason that people followed them, is they had charisma. They had deeply held values that they were very strong about, right? They put their foot down about them, and they put it out into the world. Obviously, some in tyrannical ways. However, it's still important to learn from the tyrants. There's a show on Netflix, right? How to Be a Tyrant or whatever. I think it's on Netflix. I'm not too sure where I watched it. But yeah, it's really powerful demonstration of that, right? Like how these leaders are using these tools of seduction on a mass and grand scale. So you got to know this power. If you want to have this power, you want to, wield yourself against this power, you got to know about this stuff, man. It's very important. I think people overlook this kind of information. The problem is if you have a sense of timidity or something about you where you're like a little bit shy, you can't play the charismatic that well. Okay? Any sign of that, and that image is kind of crushed of the charismatic. So you got to be charismatic 24/7. Like, it's tough to do, but that's actually, it has to be within your beingness to be charismatic. Okay? Now obviously we're on some days, we're off some days. Like, you don't have to be like an amplified, like go 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 type of mentality. You can still keep a calm, like reserved quality about yourself where you're like, I got this, man. Like that quality, you know what I mean? I feel like, embodying gratitude is also important. You got to have love for your followers, you know what I mean? Like have incredible deep love for the people who are following your mission. Your faith will be almost contagious, right? As you speak, it'll be like a person who moves crowds. So as you speak, people's eyes will light up. They'll get inspired by you, right? They'll be like, whoa, what is he saying? What? I want to actually do something right now, right? That's the energy. It's like people pick up signs and like they yell at you at concerts. Why? They have charisma, man. They have this charismatic archetype down. In the darkness, the lamp lights the way. So the symbol of the charismatic is the lamp. This kind of heat that turns into incandescence, right? And it's important to understand this lamp-like quality that you've got to carry within yourself. People just see that glow. People just see that charisma, and they see that glow within you. Your eyes can never show fear or timidity, okay? When you're playing the charismatic, you've got to be like potent, really strong, really sharp, stand for something, have a cause that you truly believe in. Don't BS that part, and you will slowly start to embody the charismatic. Okay, I see like Robert Downey Jr., who else? Russell Brand, Denzel Washington. I think all of these people have charisma, right? They have this ability to move people. Also great orators like, Martin Luther King or even Yossi Ginsburg. I think they have charisma. L. Ron Hubbard, I would say, has incredible charisma, right? This is ability to have, this leadership quality of like running this movement of Scientology. So I think that, you can see really charismatic people in TV and movies a lot of times because actors, they study that charismatic presence. They actually study it for hours and hours. So in order for you to get really good at being charismatic, study actors, look at their interviews, and really study them well, okay? You're gonna get so much from just that, okay? That's the best advice I can give you. If you need any more help on this, I also have a course on charisma. If you're interested, let me know. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today. Boom.